Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we plunge right into the most crucial information, try to sift through all the noise, and bring you those pure nuggets of insight. You really need to stay informed, and honestly, in our world today, it's so hyper-connected, right? Cybersecurity threats, they often feel less like a challenge and more like, I don't know, this relentless, constantly changing digital hydra. It can feel, frankly, overwhelming just trying to keep up. You think you've got one thing patched, and then, bam, two more problems seem to pop up. So today's mission, our deep dive, is really your essential shortcut. We want to help you understand the truly transformative, really game-changing role of artificial intelligence in securing our digital future. We're going to zero in on one key source. Nimeshkumar Patel's brand new 2025 book, Securing the Future, Harnessing AI in Cybersecurity. It's literally just out, and it's already making some serious waves among professionals.
Oh, absolutely. And that buzz is, well, it's completely warranted. Patel is a really significant voice in this space. It's evolving so quickly. He's a very seasoned network architect. We're talking over 2 decades of hands-on experience here. He's navigated, complex data center solutions, the whole landscape of cloud computing. And crucially, he's been right there on the cutting edge of AI-driven innovations. What makes his book so valuable, I think, is that it isn't just theory. It's comprehensive, yes, but it's also incredibly practical. It meticulously breaks down how we can actually leverage AI to protect digital assets. It's written by someone who's been there, done that, seen the threats evolve firsthand. He gets the practical realities of defense.
Yeah, that real-world perspective is exactly what we need right now. So for you listening in, our mission today is simple. Pull out the most important nuggets from Patel's work. We want to unearth some maybe surprising facts and help you understand not just what AI is doing in cybersecurity, but really why it matters so much and why now. And, we'll try to do it with enough insight, maybe a little bit of humor to keep you absolutely hooked. Okay, so to really set the scene, let's unpack where we are right now. Patel starts his book by painting this really vivid picture of the modern cybersecurity landscape. And honestly, it's a little unsettling. He lays out very convincingly why AI isn't just a nice to have anymore. It's not even just an advanced tool. He argues it's an absolute essential, a fundamental shift in how we even think about digital defense.
He really hammers home the unprecedented escalation, the sheer scale, the sophistication, the impact of cyber threats today. It's not just gradually increasing. He shows it's an exponential curve. And a big driver for this is what he calls the expanded attack surface. Just think about how our digital world has exploded, right? Cloud computing everywhere, the Internet of Things, IoT devices flooding into our homes and industries, and just the sheer interconnectedness of everything. Every new device, every cloud service, every connection, it just exponentially expands the playground for attackers. It creates this huge, sprawling landscape of potential weak points.
And we're not talking about those simple computer viruses some of us might remember from, like the 90s, early 2000s. The threats Patel describes are incredibly sophisticated. Things like advanced persistent threats, APTs, these are highly targeted, really stealthy long-term campaigns, often state-sponsored or run by big criminal groups. They get in, stay hidden for ages. Then you have zero-day exploits. Those are terrifying. Vulnerabilities that attackers find and use before the software makers even know they exist. So no patch available when the attack hits. And ransomware, of course. So that's just everywhere now, crippling hospitals, cities, businesses, encrypting data, demanding huge payments. But what's even more concerning, and Patel really dives into this, is that we're increasingly seeing AI-driven attacks themselves. The same tech we hope protects us. It's being weaponized.
Exactly. And to really underscore the urgency, Patel points to these frankly alarming 2024 industry reports, think World Economic Forum level. They're projecting global cybercrime costs are going to surpass a staggering $10 trillion annually by 2025.
A trillion, that's hard to even comprehend.
It really is. It's more than the GDP of major countries. And that number isn't just abstract. It represents lost productivity, stolen ideas, damaged reputations, huge recovery costs. And like you said, it's being driven significantly by these more complex, automated attack methods. Many are now directly powered by AI, which just accelerates how fast and how wide these attacks can spread.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. And yeah, maybe a little unnerving too. Patel highlights this fascinating duality. AI isn't just a shield for us, the defenders. It's also becoming a really potent weapon for the cyber criminals. It feels like we're caught in this escalating digital arms race, with AI on both sides.
Absolutely. Attackers are definitely leveraging AI now. Think about phishing campaigns. They're crafting messages that are incredibly sophisticated. Forget the bad grammar and obvious typos of the past. AI helps generate emails or messages that are hyper-personalized, contextually relevant, almost impossible to distinguish from the real thing. often tailored using info scraped from social media or company websites. They're also using AI to automate how malware spreads. It allows malicious software to propagate much faster, adapt its behavior on the fly, evade defenses in ways human hackers just couldn't manage at that speed or scale.
And it gets scarier. Concrete examples, like AI-powered tools creating incredibly convincing deepfake videos or audio. These aren't just for funny internet clips anymore. They're being used for sophisticated social engineering. Imagine a perfect deepfake of your CEO's voice authorizing a huge fraudulent wire transfer, or a deepfake video tricking an employee into giving up network passwords. It's chilling.
hmm And then you've got things like generative adversarial networks, GNs. These AI models are specifically designed to create entirely new malware, stuff that's never been seen before. So this malware can just waltz past traditional defenses like signature-based antivirus because it doesn't match any known pattern. It's constantly evolving, almost inventing new attack methods as it goes.
Oh, yeah.
And this is exactly why Patel argues that our traditional cybersecurity measures, the classic firewalls, the antivirus software we all rely on, even relying on humans for incident response, are, in his words, increasingly inadequate. They just can't keep up with these dynamic AI-driven threats. The speed, the adaptability, it just demands defenses that are equally advanced, equally proactive. You can't just react anymore. You need to anticipate, detect at machine speed, neutralize threats before they do real damage. And that's where AI's potential really comes into play.
It sounds like, yeah, we're not just playing digital whack-a-mole. It's like super fast, AI-powered, constantly shape-shifting whack-a-mole now. The moles are getting smarter. So let's break down this expanded attack surface idea a bit more for you, our listener, because it really is central to why AI is so vital now. What is this expanded surface and why is it so much harder to secure?
Okay, well, let's start with IoT devices, the Internet of Things. We're talking about this just ever-growing universe of connected gadgets, right? Smart thermostats, security cameras in homes, industrial sensors in factories, connected medical devices, the list goes on and on. The challenge. They're often designed for convenience, maybe cost-effectiveness, but security is often an afterthought. Many get deployed with minimal settings, default passwords people never change.
Right, like admin and password.
Exactly. Or manufacturers are slow with patches, or the devices just lack advanced security features altogether. This makes them incredibly easy entry points for attackers. Compromise one seemingly harmless device, like that smart bulb you mentioned.
My light bulb.
Potentially. And it can become a bridgehead. An easy way for attackers to get into the rest of your network, whether that's your home Wi-Fi or a big industrial control system.
So, yeah, my smart light bulb could be the weak link that compromises my whole home network, maybe my personal data. Or for a business, like a sensor on the factory floor could open the door to their entire operations.
Yeah.
That's sobering.
It really is. And then you have cloud environments. They offer amazing benefits, scalability, flexibility, cost savings. Businesses love them. But they also bring a whole new set of risks. Often subtle ones. Things like misconfigured storage buckets. Think of it like leaving a digital warehouse door unlocked full of sensitive data just because one setting was wrong.
Easy mistake to make, I guess.
Very easy. Or weak access controls. Maybe someone gets more permissions than they need. Unauthorized users accessing critical systems. And ironically, the very efficiency and interconnectedness of the cloud can make insider threats, whether someone acting maliciously or just making an honest mistake, potentially more damaging if not managed really carefully.
So it doesn't matter if you're a huge company running complex stuff on multiple clouds, or just someone like me with a dozen smart devices and using cloud storage for photos. You're connected to this expanded attack surface. And Patel's core argument, as you said, is that just reacting patching after a breach, relying only on humans to sift through endless alerts, which leads to burnout.
Alert fatigue, yeah.
It's no longer sufficient. That old way just can't keep pace.
Precisely. He argues organizations have to pivot. They need AI-driven strategies that are fundamentally proactive. The goal isn't just reaction, it's anticipation, detection, neutralization, all in real time. AI's ability to process these truly vast, different kinds of data at machine speed, its capacity to learn and adapt to new attack patterns, that gives it an edge humans just can't match at the necessary scale or speed. It's about using AI's power to finally get ahead of the attackers, shifting from defense to maybe a more strategic offense.
And that's really why this deep dive is so crucial for anyone navigating the digital world today. Whether you're securing a company network or just trying to protect your own online life, the threats are everywhere, they're evolving like crazy, and as Patel shows, AI is fast becoming our strongest, most essential ally in this ongoing fight. Okay, so, given this escalating threat landscape, What does this actually mean for fighting back? How does AI help us move from being overwhelmed and reactive to being proactive, maybe even resilient? Patel really gets into the heart of it in his book, laying out AI's practical applications. He organizes it into 4 key areas that are fundamentally changing cybersecurity. He doesn't just list problems, he shows AI-powered solutions.
Yeah, and he goes into some really fascinating detail here. The first area, maybe the most foundational, is threat detection and predictive analysis. AI's core value here is just its raw ability to analyze immense amounts of data. Network traffic, endpoint logs, emails, dark web chatter, stuff humans could never process manually, certainly not at the speed needed. Traditional methods just drown in the volume and velocity of modern attacks. AI becomes essential for spotting both known threats and those subtle anomalies.
So how does it do that? He mentions different types of machine learning, ML, algorithms. First up is supervised learning. Can you break that down? What's his specific contribution here?
Sure, supervised learning models. Think of them as being trained on huge data sets that are already labeled, carefully labeled. So you feed it millions of examples of network traffic or file behaviors or emails, and each one is clearly marked, malicious or benign, like teaching a very smart student with a giant textbook full of examples. The model learns to identify known threats, specific malware signatures it's seen before, common phishing patterns, known exploit techniques. It learns to recognize these predefined patterns. Its real strength is scaling this detection. Once trained, it can scan enormous amounts of new data incredibly quickly and flag anything matching those learned patterns. Very effective for catching threats we've encountered before, even if they're slightly tweaked.
Okay, that makes sense for known threats.
Yeah.
But then there's unsupervised learning. That sounds a bit more intuitive. How does that work? And why is it so good for catching the really new stuff?
It is, yeah. It's more about finding the unexpected. Unsupervised learning doesn't need those pre-labeled examples. Its strength is detecting anomalies. Imagine the AI just observing your normal network traffic or typical user behavior for a while. It builds this detailed baseline of what normal looks like for your specific environment. Then, if it sees any significant deviation, a user suddenly accessing files they never touch, an application trying to connect to a weird external server, a sudden surge in network activity, it flags it as anomalous, strange, worth investigating. This makes it incredibly powerful for spotting novel malware that has no known signature or zero-day exploits or even subtle insider threats, behaviors that just don't fit the established pattern, even if they don't match a known attack. It's like finding that needle in the haystack when you weren't even sure what the needle looked like.
That sounds incredibly powerful, especially with threats changing so fast. Attackers are always innovating. Okay, and then Patel really emphasizes deep learning's power. What makes deep learning different here? Why is it better at catching those really sophisticated attacks?
Right, so deep learning is a more advanced type of machine learning. It takes things a big step further. Its real strength is processing really complex, unstructured data. Think images, audio files, big blocks of text like emails, even really complex network packet data, stuff that doesn't fit neatly into rows and columns. This is crucial because attackers are getting clever. They're embedding malicious stuff in ways traditional rule-based systems just can't easily parse or understand.
Okay, can you give a concrete example? How does deep learning look at, say, an email differently?
Sure. Think about deep neural networks analyzing the entire content and context of an email, not just looking for keywords or known bad links. They can go further. They might spot subtle linguistic anomalies. Does the writing style suddenly change? Does it not quite match previous emails from that sender? They can identify tiny discrepancies in sender addresses that look similar but aren't. Or even find malicious links hidden inside an image or a PDF attachment, things basic filters might miss entirely. It's like having an AI that can, read between the lines, understand nuance, spot intent even when it's disguised.
That's a huge leap in precision. And Patel mentions real tools doing this, like Sophos Intercept X, using deep learning, analyzing thousands of file attributes in milliseconds, getting detection rates over 95%. That's impressive accuracy. He also shares a case study. A financial institution put in an AI-based intrusion detection system. Result, a 40% drop in false positives. Imagine the time saved for their analysts. And crucially, that same system found advanced persistent threats that had slipped past their traditional firewalls before. That really shows AI's power to dig deeper.
It really does. And what's fascinating here, as Patel points out, is how AI fundamentally shifts the whole cybersecurity posture. We move from being reactive, always playing catch-up, to being truly proactive, almost anticipating the attacker's next move. This proactive ability really shines in predictive analysis, another critical AI application he covers.
Right, predictive. How does that work? How can AI actually predict future attacks? That sounds almost like science fiction.
Well, it's not quite a crystal ball, but it's powerful. AI models combine several things: historical breach data from past incidents, real-time global threat intelligence feeds, what attackers are doing right now worldwide, and an organization's own specific network setup and vulnerabilities. It analyzes all this to forecast potential attack vectors. It's not just looking back, it's analyzing patterns, attacker methods, emerging trends to anticipate where the next hit might come from and where a company is most vulnerable right now.
So it helps prioritize defenses before an attack happens, like telling you which specific window to board up first because the storm is heading that way.
Exactly. A really practical use is prioritizing patches. Instead of security teams scrambling to patch everything or only patching after something's been exploited, predictive algorithms calculate the likelihood of exploitation for each vulnerability on critical systems. AI helps focus limited resources on the highest risk spots first. This drastically shrinks that window of opportunity attackers have to exploit a known flaw, closing the door before they can even knock.
He mentions AI-driven threat intelligence platforms like Recorded Future. They pull data from all over the dark web, open source intelligence, OSINT, a company's own internal logs. That sounds like an incredibly powerful mix of information.
It truly is. It connects dots that humans might miss. What are hackers talking about on hidden forums? Are new vulnerabilities being sold? What attack campaigns are researchers reporting? How does that relate to my network activity? It paints this comprehensive, forward-looking picture of risk. So if Intel suggests a new ransomware is targeting a specific software flaw, the AI can immediately flag all your systems with that flaw for urgent patching, even if you haven't seen any sign of attack yet.
And that case study about the retail company, preventing a ransomware attack because predictive analytics flagged the vulnerability just hours before it was exploited. That's huge.
Huge. That's not just avoiding damage, it's saving potentially millions in costs, avoiding operational chaos, protecting customer trust. It perfectly illustrates that shift from reaction to prevention.
Okay, so building on that proactive idea, the second big area Patel covers is automated incident response. Because, let's face it, even with the best detection, incidents will still happen sometimes. And traditionally, responding has been this huge bottleneck, right? Leaving companies exposed for too long.
A massive bottleneck. Traditional incident response relies so heavily on human analysts, and they face this monumental task: sorting through endless alerts, investigating each one, manually trying to connect events across different systems, then manually coordinating how to fix things across complex networks. It's slow, it's prone to error, it leads to that burnout we talked about, alert fatigue. Organizations get overwhelmed. Patel argues, very convincingly, that AI automates and accelerates this whole process. It enables real-time response at a speed and scale humans just can't achieve alone.
So we're talking about tools like AI-powered SUM systems, security information and event management, things like Splunk or IBM QRadar. How do they use AI to improve response time so dramatically?
Right. These SIEM systems act like the security nerve center. They collect and correlate massive amounts of log and event data from everything: firewalls, servers, laptops, cloud services. It's a flood of information. AI steps in to apply advanced analytics to that flood. It intelligently prioritizes alerts. It connects seemingly unrelated events that might indicate a larger attack pattern a human could easily miss. And crucially, it can even suggest or initiate immediate remediation actions. For instance, if it sees a suspicious login on one server, then weird file access on another, AI can connect those dots in milliseconds, identify it as one coordinated attack, and maybe recommend isolating those machines. A human might take hours, even days, to piece that together.
So it's not just saying problem here, it's offering an automated playbook. Problem here, and here's how to shut it down now. And the key metrics Patel points to are mean time to detection, MTTD, and mean time to response, MTTR. Reducing those is absolutely critical in cybersecurity. The faster you find it, the faster you stop it, the less damage occurs.
Exactly. And Patel gives concrete automation examples. AI can automatically quarantine a compromised laptop off the network. It can block malicious IP addresses at the firewall. It might even deploy a critical patch automatically without waiting for a human. That speed can literally be the difference between a minor blip and a catastrophic company-wide breach. Imagine AI spotting ransomware starting, identifying its unique network chatter, and telling the firewalls to block that specific traffic within seconds. Containment.
He shares that really impactful case study, the healthcare provider, using AI-driven incident response for a ransomware attack. They cut downtime from potentially days, which is unthinkable for a hospital, down to just hours. Saved millions, yes, but more importantly, kept critical patient services running. How did the AI act so fast and precisely in that situation?
In that case, the AI platform rapidly analyzed the network traffic. It identified the ransomware's unique communication patterns, pinpointed its command and control server where the attackers send instructions. Within seconds, the AI system autonomously generated and enforced new network rules. It blocked all communication to and from that C2 server and isolated the already infected devices. It just demonstrated AI's superior speed in both analysis and action compared to human teams who'd still be tracing logs, confirming findings, getting approvals, manually configuring blocks, by which time the ransomware could be everywhere. It was, like you said earlier, an automated surgical strike. But this, it raises a really important question. What about the human element? Especially when we know the cybersecurity industry faces this huge skills shortage, right? Does AI just replace the human analyst?
Yeah, that's a massive point. Yeah, a common concern. Patel addresses it head on. He actually highlights how AI automation alleviates the burden on human teams. It handles the routine, the repetitive, the high-volume stuff. That constant flood of alerts, the initial sorting, the automated blocking of known bad things, this frees up the human analyst to focus their skills on the harder stuff. Strategic thinking, complex investigations, proactive threat hunting, dealing with those really nuanced issues that still absolutely need human intuition and critical thinking. He even cites industry surveys from ISC showing something like 65% of organizations face cybersecurity staffing shortages in 2025. So AI becomes this vital force multiplier for stretched teams.
Exactly. It lets the skilled humans operate at their best, focusing on high-value tasks instead of getting drowned in low-level noise. It augments them, makes them more effective. However, and this is crucial, Patel includes an important warning. He cautions against over-reliance on automation. You still need human oversight. Humans need to validate AI decisions, prevent complacency, handle situations the AI wasn't trained for, interpret ambiguity. It's a partnership, AI and human, not a complete replacement. That collaboration is key.
Okay, our third area gets into identity management and behavioral monitoring. This is fascinating because it tackles one of the oldest and still one of the hardest problems.
Yeah.
Securing user identities, especially now when work happens everywhere and network perimeters are basically gone.
It's incredibly tough. Relying just on static credentials like passwords is fundamentally broken. We know this. Phishing attacks trick users into giving them up. Credential stuffing uses stolen passwords from one breach to try others. Brute force attacks just hammer away trying combinations. Patel really pushes for AI-driven solutions here, arguing that a static password, no matter how complex you make it, is just inherently a single point of failure waiting to happen.
So he introduces behavioral biometrics. That sounds very futuristic, very subtle. How does AI analyze user patterns to verify identity? Is it like fingerprints?
It's much more subtle than a fingerprint, and it works continuously in the background. AI-driven behavioral biometrics analyze things unique to how you interact with your devices, things you might not even be aware of, like your specific typing speed and rhythm, the pauses between keystrokes, the subtle pressure you use, the way you move your mouse, how you scroll, your typical login times, locations, the devices you use, even how you swipe or tap on a phone screen. AI takes this continuous stream of data and builds a unique, dynamic behavioral profile for each user. It's less like a static fingerprint and more like your personal digital gait, how you move and act online.
Wow. So if suddenly my typing gets really slow and clumsy, or my mouse movements are jerky, or I log in at 3 a.m. from, I don't know, Antarctica, the system might flag that as suspicious, even if the correct password was entered.
Exactly. The AI constantly compares current behavior against that established baseline profile. If there's a significant deviation, weird location, unusual login time, drastically different typing speed, trying to access files you never normally touch, it flags it as a potential account compromise, or maybe an insider threat. Companies like BioCatch are using this very effectively, apparently achieving detection rates over 90% for fraud prevention, because it's looking at how you're interacting, not just what password you typed.
That's a powerful defense against someone who stole credentials, or even maybe disgruntled employee. Patel mentions a case study, a bank cut account takeover incidents by 50% using this. That's a huge impact on their security and their customers' trust.
A massive impact. And this idea leads naturally into another AI-driven approach that works really well with behavioral biometrics, adaptive authentication.
Adaptive, how does it adapt the authentication process?
So, adaptive authentication dynamically adjusts the security hurdles based on the real-time risk level of each specific login attempt. It's not one size fits all, like forcing everyone through MFA every single time. For example, if the AI detects a high-risk login, maybe it's from a brand new device you've never used, or a location thousands of miles away, or an IP address known to be malicious, it might automatically step up the security. It might demand MFA, or maybe even a biometric check.
But if it's just me logging in from my usual work laptop at my usual office during normal work hours, it might let me in seamlessly, maybe even without a password.
Precisely. For those low-risk, everyday scenarios, the system could allow immediate, frictionless access. This makes the user experience much smoother, less annoying, without actually lowering the security standard. Patel points to tools like Microsoft Azure AD that use AI to assess hundreds of risk factors in real time for every login attempt. User behavior, device health, network location, time of day, even what resource you're trying to access. It creates this friction-right security, strong when needed, easy when safe. And if you connect this back to the bigger picture, AI's ability to continuously learn and adapt to user behavior makes it incredibly powerful for securing identities in today's world, especially with cloud and hybrid networks where access points and user behaviors are constantly shifting. Static rules just don't cut it anymore. AI provides that needed flexibility and intelligence.
Okay, the fourth key area, and this one feels absolutely foundational, is vulnerability management. This is so critical, right? Finding and fixing weaknesses before attackers can exploit them. That's the ultimate proactive goal.
It really is the first line of defense, and Patel explores how AI significantly boosts this process. It automates much of what used to be a very slow, manual effort, finding vulnerabilities, figuring out which ones matter most, and sometimes even helping fix them.
So instead of security teams manually digging through code or relying on maybe outdated scans, AI tools are doing the heavy lifting more intelligently. He mentions tools like Tenable.io. How do they work differently than older methods?
Right. Tools like Tenable.io constantly scan systems for known vulnerabilities, the ones listed in public databases like CVEs. But then they do something crucial. They don't just dump a massive list on you. They correlate these findings with real-time threat intelligence. They know which exploits are actually being used by attackers right now, which vulnerabilities are being actively targeted in the wild. Based on that, they intelligently prioritize the fixes. They consider both the likelihood of that specific vulnerability being exploited and the potential impact if it were. This is totally different from traditional scanning, which is often slow, misses things, and just generates huge, unmanageable lists. AI helps teams focus on the urgent risks first.
That sounds like a huge improvement, moving from just a giant to-do list to a smart, risk-based action plan.
Yeah.
And there's that successful case study he includes. A government agency drastically cut its patch cycle from weeks down to days using an AI platform. How did it achieve that, and what was the big impact?
Well, this agency had a vast, complex network, thousands, maybe tens of thousands of systems, each potentially riddled with vulnerabilities. The AI platform analyzed all these detected flaws across the entire network. It intelligently prioritized the ones being actively targeted by known exploits, or those on the most critical systems, or protecting the most sensitive data. And critically, it also automated a lot of the patch deployment itself, pushing out updates automatically where possible. This proactive, AI-driven approach ultimately prevented a major data breach. And, get this, it reduced the agency's overall attack surface, all those potential entry points, by a staggering 60%. Imagine shrinking the target for attackers by more than half. That's effective vulnerability management.
60% reduction. That's incredible. And beyond just finding known vulnerabilities, Patel also talks about AI identifying unknown unknowns. That sounds like finding brand new weaknesses, flaws that aren't even documented yet. How can AI possibly do that?
Yeah, it's fascinating. It goes beyond just matching signatures or looking for known bad patterns. By analyzing system configurations in depth, looking at network traffic patterns, correlating subtle anomalies across many systems, AI can sometimes spot behaviors or configurations that might indicate a previously undiscovered vulnerability or a novel way to attack. For example, it might notice an unusual interaction between two different software components that, only when combined, creates a security hole that nobody knew existed. It's like the AI detecting a subtle structural weakness in a wall, even though that specific type of crack isn't in any engineering manual yet. This capability is absolutely vital for trying to get ahead of zero-day threats.
So we've covered these incredibly powerful ways AI is boosting defense. threat detection, response, identity vulnerabilities. But it's not just about the tech. Patel dedicates a really significant part of his book to the ethical and legal challenges. Because while AI offers amazing defensive power, it also raises some serious concerns we absolutely have to address. Privacy, bias, accountability. It's the crucial human side of the equation.
It's absolutely critical and often gets overlooked in the excitement about new tech. The first major area he tackles is privacy and data ethics. AI systems, especially in security, often need access to incredibly sensitive data to work well. We're talking user behavior logs, network traffic details, maybe even personal identifiers.
And the risk there seems pretty obvious and worrying. If that data isn't handled properly, you could have severe privacy violations, especially with tough regulations like GDPR in Europe or CCPA in California. Messing this up isn't just unethical, it's a huge legal and financial nightmare.
Exactly. And Patel doesn't just highlight the problem, he points to practical solutions, privacy-preserving AI techniques. He talks about things like federated learning and differential privacy. These are clever methods designed to let AI models learn from data without actually exposing individual records or centralizing all the sensitive information. Federated learning, for instance, trains models on decentralized data. The raw, private data stays where it is on your phone, maybe, or on a specific company server. Only aggregated, anonymized insights or model updates get shared, keeps sensitive data local. Differential privacy adds mathematical noise during analysis. It makes it incredibly hard to re-identify any single person from the dataset, but it preserves the overall statistical patterns the AI needs to learn. It's a careful balancing act.
That's really clever. So that case study he mentions a tech company using federated learning to train an intrusion detection system across different client networks. They improve security for everyone without sharing sensitive data between companies, staying GDPR compliant. That's getting the benefit without the privacy cost.
Precisely. He also gets into the ethics of behavioral monitoring itself. He notes that too much surveillance, especially if it's not transparent, can really erode user trust, even if it's done for security. Patel strongly recommends transparent data policies tell users clearly what data you're collecting and why, and getting robust user consent. It's about finding that balance between the need for security and the right to privacy, a continuous effort.
And then there's the massive issue of bias and fairness. This pops up with AI everywhere, doesn't it? Hiring, loan applications, and cybersecurity is no different. How does bias get into security AI, and what harm can it do?
It's a very real challenge. AI models learn from the data they are trained on. If that data isn't representative, if it reflects existing societal biases, the AI can inherit and even amplify those biases. So, for example, maybe an AI authentication system is mostly trained on data from one demographic group. It might then unfairly flag users from other groups as suspicious just because their normal, legitimate behavior doesn't match the biased training data it learned from.
So the AI could mistakenly block legitimate users, cause real problems for innocent people.
Exactly. Imagine a biased AI falsely flagging a valuable customer as a threat, maybe locking their account, causing distress and hassle. That damages trust, hurts the business. Patel really emphasizes the need for diverse representative training data sets, data that reflects the full range of users and behaviors the system will actually encounter. He also stresses the need for regular, thorough audits of the models, maybe using those explainable AI techniques we'll talk about, to actively find and fix biases before they cause real-world harm, treating bias like a bug that needs patching.
Okay, the third ethical point is accountability and transparency. We often hear about AI being a black box. Data goes in and the answer comes out, but we don't know how it got there. How is that a problem in cybersecurity, especially for critical systems?
That black box issue, especially with complex deep learning models, is a huge challenge for accountability. When an AI makes a critical security decision blocking traffic, flagging a user, recommending a system shutdown, people need to understand why. Cybersecurity pros, regulators, auditors, especially in sensitive sectors like finance or healthcare, they must be able to understand and explain the AI's reasoning. If you can't explain it, you can't really audit it, you can't defend it legally, and you can't fully trust it when the stakes are high. Lack of transparency erodes confidence.
So what's the solution Patel proposes to open up these black boxes?
He's a strong advocate for explainable AI or XAI techniques. XAI isn't about dumbing down the AI. It's about providing clear, human-understandable insights into how the model reached its decision. There are tools and methods that can highlight which input data points were most influential or visualize the AI's internal steps. This lets analysts trace the logic. It allows auditors and stakeholders to verify, validate, and ultimately trust the AI's decisions. He mentions a case study. A financial institution adopted XAI. It significantly improved their regulatory compliance because they could now prove why certain transactions were flagged. And it also boosted user trust because their security felt less like a mystery box. It's about building that confidence.
And finally, under ethics and legal, he covers legal and regulatory frameworks. This must be a minefield, with laws constantly trying to catch up to the tech.
It absolutely is a moving target. Patel carefully examines this dynamic landscape. He looks at emerging frameworks like the big EU AI Act, which tries to regulate AI based on risk levels, and NIST's AI risk management framework in the US, which offers guidance. These frameworks are trying to draw lines around responsible AI use, especially in high-risk areas like cybersecurity where mistakes can be disastrous. They're aiming for that balance between encouraging innovation and ensuring safety, ethics, and accountability.
And he gives practical advice for companies trying to navigate this, how to align with these evolving rules.
Yes, very practical guidance. How to conduct AI risk assessments specifically for security uses. How to meticulously document model performance accuracy, false positives, any known biases. How to maintain clear audit trails of AI decisions to demonstrate explainability and compliance. This advice clearly comes from his own experience navigating these complex requirements in real-world situations. It's about baking ethics and compliance into the entire AI lifecycle right from the start. And what's really fascinating here is watching this race, technology advancing at lightning speed and the legal and ethical frameworks trying desperately to keep pace and govern it responsibly. It just highlights how complex deploying AI really is and how much thought has to go into using these powerful tools wisely.
One of the things I really like about Patel's book is how he uses these powerful, real-world case studies. It really brings the concepts to life and shows this isn't just theory. These are actual companies getting real results with AI right now.
They really do. They hammer home the impact. Take the financial sector. He details a major bank using AI-based behavioral biometrics, that digital gate idea we discussed. They used it to spot account takeovers in progress by analyzing keystroke dynamics, mouse movements. The result: they cut their fraud losses by 50%. That's protecting customer money and the bank's bottom line directly.
And in healthcare, which is such a target for ransomware, a hospital used an AI-driven SIEM for automated ransomware response. When ransomware hit, the AI detected it, identified the infected machines, and automatically isolated them within seconds. It prevented massive data loss and got critical services back online in hours instead of days. That's literally life-saving speed in a hospital.
Then there's retail, always a target because of all the customer data. A major retailer used predictive analytics looking ahead. Their AI system analyzed threat intel and their own network data, figured out which vulnerabilities were most likely to be hit next, and they patched them before the attack happened. Saved them potentially millions in breach costs and kept customer trust intact. Prevention in action.
And in government, security is obviously paramount there. A federal agency used AI for vulnerability management across its huge network. The AI platform intelligently prioritized which patches were most critical out of thousands of possibilities. And the result, as we mentioned, was that staggering 60% reduction in their overall attack surface, a massive win for national security infrastructure.
Yeah, these examples powerfully underscore AI's tangible benefits across different industries, but they also subtly highlight the challenges Patel doesn't shy away from. Things like, the difficulty of integrating shiny new AI with older legacy systems, the ongoing need for skilled people who can actually manage and tune these complex AI tools effectively, and the constant need for good, clean data to make sure the AI works properly and isn't biased. AI helps massively, but it's still a partnership with humans, not a magic bullet.
Okay, so after exploring all these applications, the ethics, the real-world successes, what does it all mean for tomorrow? Where is this heading? Patel wraps up by looking ahead. He predicts pretty confidently that AI will be absolutely integral to cybersecurity by 2030. Not optional, but fundamental, a core part of any serious security strategy.
And he points to several key emerging trends that will shape that future, pushing the boundaries even further. First, kind of flipping the script, is generative AI for defense. We talked about attackers using it.
Right, to make deepfakes and new malware. How can we use it defensively?
Well, generative AI can be used to create highly realistic synthetic data. Fake data, basically, but data that perfectly mimics real network traffic, real user behavior, even characteristics of brand new malware types. This synthetic data can then be used to train our defensive AI models much more effectively. It gives them tons of realistic practice against threats that maybe haven't even been seen in the wild yet. It's like giving your AI defenders an infinite supply of super realistic but perfectly safe sparring partners, constantly honing their ability to spot and stop the next new threat.
That is a really clever way to prepare, using AI to generate training data for other AI. Okay, he also mentions quantum computing and cryptography. That sounds like a huge, potentially disruptive shift.
It really is. It's potentially an existential threat to the encryption we rely on today for everything: online banking, secure communications, government secrets. Large-scale quantum computers, when they arrive, could potentially break current encryption algorithms in minutes algorithms that would take today's computers centuries to crack. So there's this urgent need for quantum-resistant algorithms, entirely new ways of doing cryptography that quantum computers can't easily break. AI will likely play a big role, both in helping develop these complex new methods and in managing their deployment across our vast digital world. It's a huge challenge ahead.
And the third trend is edge security. We talked about IoT devices being part of the problem. How does AI help secure them out there at the edge?
Right. As we get more and more connected devices out there, sensors, smart appliances, autonomous cars, industrial machines, AI will enable more decentralized security. Instead of sending all their data back to a central cloud for analysis, which takes time and has privacy issues, AI will do more processing locally, right on the device itself, or very close by on the network edge. This on-device AI reduces latency, so protection is faster, more real-time. And it boosts privacy because less sensitive data needs to be transmitted. It helps create this distributed, intelligent security fabric right out where the devices live.
Makes sense. But of course, with progress come new challenges. What are the big ones Patel warns us to keep an eye on for the future of AI and cybersecurity?
One of the biggest and maybe most insidious is adversarial AI. This is where attackers specifically try to fool or manipulate our defensive AI models. They might subtly poison the training data to teach the AI wrong lessons. Or they might crack specific attack inputs designed to trick a defensive AI into misclassifying malicious activity as harmless. It's basically using AI to attack AI. It's a growing threat we have to prepare for.
So attackers could try to teach our defense AI to ignore their specific malware, or make their attacks look like normal traffic.
Exactly. It becomes this high-tech cat-and-mouse game at the algorithm level. And the other big risk Patel highlights is simply over-reliance on AI. If organizations become too dependent on AI without maintaining strong human oversight, without good validation processes, without fallback plans, what happens if the AI systems fail? Or get compromised themselves? Or just make a massive mistake at scale? We can't put all our eggs in the AI basket without understanding its limits and having safety nets.
So facing these future trends and challenges, what are Patel's key recommendations? His prescriptions for navigating this complex future safely?
He really emphasizes hybrid human-AI workflows, collaboration, not replacement. Let AI handle the speed and volume. Let humans provide the strategic oversight, the context, the critical thinking. He also stresses the need for continuous model monitoring, constantly checking that the AI systems are still effective, haven't been tampered with, haven't developed new biases, keeping them healthy. And finally, he calls for significant ongoing investment in AI safety research. We need to proactively figure out how to mitigate risks like adversarial AI and ingrained bias before they become widespread problems. Connecting it all, it's clear that securing the future isn't a one-off task. It's this continuous, dynamic evolution, driven by technology, yes, but also needing constant, careful ethical consideration. It's a journey, requires constant adaptation, and really smart collaboration between us humans and these increasingly powerful machines.
What a critical journey indeed. Okay, as we wrap up this deep dive into Nimeshkumar Patel's really insightful 2025 book, Securing the Future, Harnessing AI in Cybersecurity, let's just quickly synthesize the core takeaways he offers for you, our listener. First, AI enables this fundamental shift towards proactive, real-time defense against threats that are just growing in scale and sophistication. It uses ML, deep learning, predictive analytics to get us ahead of the game. Second, its applications are truly transformative across threat detection, incident response, identity management, vulnerability management. It's fundamentally changing how security operations work, moving from reactive firefighting to strategic anticipation. Third, this power comes with a profound ethical responsibility. Privacy, bias, transparency, accountability, these aren't afterthoughts. They require careful management, the responsible deployment to maintain trust and meet regulations. It's about how we use AI, not just that we use it. Fourth, the real-world case studies show concrete benefits, reducing fraud, stopping ransomware, shrinking attack surfaces. AI is delivering tangible, impactful results right now. It's not just hype.
And finally, the future looks fascinating. Generative AI for defense, quantum-resistant crypto, but also challenging. Adversarial AI is a real threat we need to tackle with research in those hybrid human-AI approaches. So as AI becomes just woven into the fabric of our digital security, moving from being a niche tool to an essential guardian, how do you see that evolving balance between the automated protection AI offers and that irreplaceable human element needed to safeguard our most sensitive data? What role might you play, maybe in your work or just in your awareness, in ensuring this powerful AI is used not just effectively, but also ethically, fairly, transparently in the crucial years ahead? It's definitely a conversation that affects all of us. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the really fascinating, really critical world of AI and cybersecurity. We hope it's given you a clearer picture of what's happening, why it matters so much, and what might be coming next. We'll be back soon with another deep dive into the topics that matter most.